I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and today I'm going to be talking about a story that happened as I was running a game. Roll the opening. Now, between my day job, my blog, and the novels I write, I tend to write a lot. The first time I ran a game, I learned that being a DM was a lot like doing collaborative fiction. It was all improv. People were going their own direction. I may have things that were mapped out, but people just tend to want to do their own things, and you have to roll with what people give you. This makes role-playing a lot of fun. And in just the few months that I've been a DM, I have a lot of stories where the players tried to throw a wrench at me just to see what I would do. Or I realized they were going to try to do this and I head them off to the pass. So it's really been a lot of fun. One of the cooler stories that happened with my party happened in the last session that we played. They had gone through my initial adventure, which was all set up like a Hallmark movie. I'll talk more about that in a future video. The Hallmark adventure was all about an evil mining consortium trying to come in and take over a small town. What you've seen in a Hallmark movie over and over and over again. And the party did manage to stop their hostile takeover, but all the remnants of that organization were still around the forest in the town and had to be dealt with. So afterwards, the Baroness decided she was going to let bygones be bygones, and she decided she was going to hire them now to become captains of the King's Guard, essentially the local constabulary. And the party then was hired to go in and find out what this mining consortium was really all about, what were they after, and just how much they were still present inside the forest. A lot of fun. So their first trip into it went to their kind of regional headquarters. They had set up in an old abandoned manor house deep inside the forest. And the party went to them, and due to a series of rather unfortunate rolls, they basically murder hoboed everybody who was left inside this operation. It was really kind of tragic. So anyway, after they got done murder hoboing most of the people who were there and acquired some of the information that they were going to need to help them recognize just what this consortium was after, they decided they were going to explore the rest of the tunnels that were underneath this manor house. And in one of the tunnels that they were going through, they encountered a cowering gnome who had been enslaved. He was essentially the privy cleaner for the mining office of this consortium. And after the players convinced him that they meant him no harm, he became rather friendly and let them know what his name was. After a little bit of coaxing. See, after they asked him, this gnome was not quite the brightest bulb in the bunch, and he kind of pointed out, well, it's kind of difficult to say my name in common. And so they asked him then, and I knew they were going to do this, well, what's your name in Gnomish then? He went, oh. And so I was very prepared, and I said, something like that. And I knew right from the moment that kind of gibberish exited my mouth that someone in the party was going to ask me, hey, do you mind repeating that? Just to see if I could do it. So I headed them off at the pass, and I had this nice gnome whose name is Philnex Sneedmetter. He kind of just looked at them and he goes, if I say again, it will be much different sounding. Gnomish is more a state of mind. And so now I have invented a new language inside the continent of Elbrin. Elbrin Gnomish is not really so much a spoken or written language as much as it is a state of mind that you pass on to one another. This has now become inside our Discord chat a common refrain. Oh, is that just a state of mind? So this is obviously going to be coming up again and again and again. That's the type of thing that makes being a DM so much fun, because you can throw out these weird, bizarre, crazy things, have the players jump on them, and then you just take it from there to wherever it wants to go. They kept on asking Philnix what he liked to do, because he was the privy cleaner. We want to set you free, but he's like, oh, I don't know where home is. And, that's the type of thing that they'd say. So they tried to figure out what he likes. He's, oh, I'm a chef. Well, they're friends with the innkeeper at the main town in this barony. And they said, hey, we might be able to get you a job. And, I love that. That'd be wonderful. And so they took him back to the inn in this town, and they negotiated for him to make sure he wasn't going to be enslaved again. It's a very ethical group, other than the random murder hoboing. And so he went off to the kitchens, and he was a privy cleaner. They tried to get him to wash his hands quick, but I rolled and he didn't quite hear them. And so they went into the main common room of the tavern, and they met another NPC who we'll explain about in a future DM Tales, who, his dream has always been to kind of go out and find exotic ingredients and start a restaurant. And so they said, hey, we found you a chef. He goes, oh, okay, that's great. Where is he? He's like, he's a gnome. He's in the kitchen right now. Great, where'd you find him? He said, he was cleaning the toilets. Oh, crap. And he just took off, and that was the last time that we saw him. And so now all these NPCs are starting to fill up this town. They keep collecting them as they go out on all these little trips. And it's going to make the town of Woodburn a rather interesting place. DMing is a lot of fun. And when you get into the collaborative fiction of it and go with the give and take of your party, especially when they're trying to throw wrenches in just to see what you're going to do, run with it. You will be absolutely shocked and amazed at the types of things you come up with. Next week, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the other NPCs that we've encountered on our tales, and maybe a story or two about from when I was playing my paladin who had taken an oath of vengeance and suddenly found himself an adversary of his own kingdom. Until then, happy playing.